Stephen was born in a quiet, picturesque town nestled among the rolling hills of Tuscany, Italy. It was a place where life moved slowly, where olive trees stood like sentinels in the fields, where children played soccer on cobbled streets, and where the bells of ancient churches rang like echoes from the past. His childhood was filled with warmth, family dinners filled with laughter, grandparents telling stories by candlelight, and neighbors who treated each other like extended kin. He grew up in a moderately religious Catholic home. Church on Sundays was part of life, especially during holidays like Christmas and Easter. Stephen loved the music, the incense, the solemnity of Mass, but he often found his mind wandering. He'd stare at the stained glass windows and wonder if there was something more. As a child, he never questioned much, but by the time he reached his teenage years, that sense of restlessness had grown. While his friends dreamed of careers and family life in their hometown, Stephen dreamed of distant lands, of new people, of meaning. Books became his companions, travel journals, philosophy, religion, history. He was always curious, always asking, what is the purpose of life? Who is God, really? What does it mean to live truthfully? By the time he was in his early 20s, that hunger for experience could no longer be satisfied by books alone. He packed a bag, tucked a worn journal into it, and set off to see the world. His travels took him across Europe, from the romantic streets of Paris to the snowy peaks of Switzerland. But it wasn't until he reached Turkey in 1993 that something truly shifted in his soul. When Stephen first arrived in Istanbul, he was struck by its grandeur: towering domes of mosques, the bustling markets, the scent of spices in the air. But what lingered with him most was the Adhanti call to prayer. It was haunting and beautiful, echoing through the city 5 times a day. At first, it felt foreign. Then, strangely, it began to feel comforting. His journey took him beyond the city to a rural town in central Anatolia. There, one warm afternoon, he got lost trying to find a historic site. Tired and unsure of where to go, he sat on a bench, hoping someone might help. That's when a man named Yusuf approached him with a gentle smile and a simple question: "Are you okay?" That small act of kindness changed everything. Yusuf didn't just point the way, he invited Stephen into his home. It wasn't meant as a casual offer. It was heartfelt. In Yusuf's modest home, Stephen found something he hadn't encountered before: peace. It wasn't just in the quiet of the countryside or the simple meals of lentil soup and fresh bread. It was in the way the family lived. They prayed with sincerity, treated each other with gentleness, and welcomed him without suspicion or expectation. The children laughed freely around him. Yusuf's wife cooked for him like he was one of their own. And most powerfully, no one tried to convert him. They simply lived their faith. Stephen found himself watching everything: the way Yusuf paused to pray even when tired, the way he spoke about God with reverence, the humility and gratitude woven into daily life. They would sit under the stars at night, drinking tea, talking about the soul, the afterlife, the meaning of submission to God. Yusuf answered his questions patiently, always reminding him that faith was a journey, not a forced destination. When Stephen eventually said goodbye to the family, he felt like he was leaving more than a host, was leaving something sacred. Back in Italy, the noise of daily life returned, but that stillness he had felt in Yusuf's home lingered. He tried to bury it beneath routine, but the questions came back louder than before. He began reading about Islam not from news articles or debates, but from actual sources: the Quran, books by Muslim authors, stories of reverts like himself. He discovered a faith that invited questions, that didn't ask for blind belief but encouraged reflection. The Quran wasn't a book of fear, it was a book of mercy, clarity, and light. One evening, alone in his room, he read a verse that stopped his breath. Say, He is Allah, the One, Allah, the Eternal. He neither begets nor is born, and there is none like unto him. Surah Al-Ikhlas. It felt like someone had written those words just for him. In that moment, he understood. God wasn't distant or confined to rituals. God was near, singular, perfect. Everything he had searched for in all his travels, in all his questions, was right there. That night, Stephen whispered the Shahada. It was quiet, personal, but powerful. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. His life didn't become perfect overnight. He faced questions from family, misunderstandings, and occasional loneliness. But he also found community. Over the years, he visited more than 50 countries, not just to explore, but to share his story. He wasn't a scholar or preacher, he was a seeker who had found truth and wanted others to know that peace was possible. He volunteered with Muslim communities, helped guide new reverts, and built bridges between people of different faiths. Still, whenever someone asked how it all began, he would smile and say, "It started with getting lost and being welcomed by someone who showed me Islam not with words, but with love." Stephen's journey is a powerful reminder that faith isn't always found in grand sermons or academic books. Sometimes it starts with kindness. Sometimes it begins when we least expect it and leads us to everything we were searching for.